the greater part of the Arabs who passed into Africa after the Muslim conquests preferred maintaining their former habits of life and wandering through the plains of northern Africa, rather than coop themselves up in towns and change their manner of existence. This indeed appears to have been the case with the Arab tribes who migrated into Africa in the first centuries after the Hegira. For their populations were never large enough to have a meaningful change on the genotype of the natives of North Africa, even if their language and some aspects of their culture were imprinted on the Amazigh or so-called Berber natives. In fact, Latin was, probably, the language spoken in the larger towns of North Africa prior to the Muslim conquests. North Africa had been under Roman control for centuries, yet the Amazigh language and culture changed little due to this. And that was the justification for taking over North Africa. The Muslim Arab was at war with the Romans and took ownership of what they had previously claimed, after which the Arab immigration into Africa is generally considered to have commenced. Yet, there is reason to believe that the same people, or tribes nearly allied to them in origin, had begun to direct their movements towards the same quarter from much earlier times. The migratory movements of Semitic tribes into Africa appear thus to have preceded the first dawning of history. The oldest account expressly recording such a migration is the ancient Egyptian historian Manetho's narrative of the invasion of Egypt by the Arabian shepherds. It appears to me clear, and I have endeavored to prove, that Manetho connects the exode of the Bani Israel with the departure of the shepherds. But even before the age of Abraham, Egypt must have been already open to the wanderings of nomadic people from Asia. Otherwise, the patriarch with his horde could not have passed so easily to the residence of an Egyptian sovereign, who, though styled Pharaoh, may have been one of the shepherd kings of Egypt, or a native prince reigning under their sway. This should not come as a surprise, as it would not be odd for the nomadic desert people who inhabited the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula to eventually find their way into the deserts of North Africa, which is quite literally connected to them. So the Arab has had a presence in northern Africa for more than 1,000 years prior to the Muslim conquest of North Africa, and yet Arabic was not a major language spoken there. The Romans controlled North Africa for centuries, and yet Latin was mainly confined to the major towns and eventually died out. And the Arab migration into North Africa after the Muslim conquests was originally not enough to make any major change to the genetic makeup of the North African people and cause Arabic to replace their indigenous languages. All of this has had less of an influence on them than the acceptance of Islam as a religion, which has had the greatest impact of all upon them. As is explained by James Prichard, an ethnologist, through the ascendancy of the conquering people and the influence of Islam, the constant reading of the Quran, and by intercourse with other countries, the Arabic language must soon have become spread much more extensively than the mixture of foreign population. In the time of Leo Africanus, as he informs us, all the cities on the African coast spoke corrupt Arabic. He accepts the kingdom and the city of Morocco, as well as the Numidians of the inland country, those who border on Mauritania and Caesarea. He seems afterwards to limit the use of Arabic to the people of Tunis and Tripoli and the nearly adjoining districts. The people of Morocco spoke Berber in the time of Leo. The Arabic language has since become the popular idiom there also, not by any subsequent colonization, for there has been no change in the population of the country, but by the influence of other causes above suggested. We may therefore consider the population of Barbary as principally consisting of the descendants of the aboriginal Berber race.